Okay, friends, I'm going to share with you today on my Walk Talk on December 8th, 2023, 1, 2, 3 things that you can do to not only survive, but to thrive in the face of adversity. Hang with me. Well, hello there. It's been a while since I've done a Walk Talk, so I thought I'd go ahead and resurrect these a little bit, perhaps. Try to get a Walk Talk out maybe once a week or so, but try to get my exercises in at least 4 days a week. That's going to be my plan. You know, it is a stunning day today. Just simply beautiful. The temperature is in, probably the high 50s, maybe the low 60s, and just gorgeous. And I know it's not going to last. You know, I know it's not going to last. The cold weather is coming because, you know, that's the way it is in life, isn't it? You know, we have good days, we have bad days. We have seasons we walk through. Some we might think are really good seasons, and some that perhaps are not so good. And it's in those challenging seasons, those difficult seasons, we might say the cold days of life, when we would rather be basking in a warm day and maybe sitting on a beach, but instead we're in the midst of a blizzard, emotionally, maybe spiritually, physically. You know, what are we gonna do? Because here's the thing, our hearts yearn for peace. Our hearts yearn for shalom, if you will, for the echoes of Eden that we hear in our minds, that we feel in our souls, those echoes of Eden, because, you know, we're created in the image of God. And so in our DNA, we have a remembrance of what it was like to be in that beautiful garden. But we aren't always in that beautiful garden these days. So the question is, when those difficult days come, we could call it adversity. When those difficult days come, what can we do? Well, I'm going to give you 3 tips. Are you ready? 3 tips for overcoming, or at least thriving, in the midst of adversity. And these are relatively simple, and they all begin with A. So I'm going to give you these 3 A's on how to thrive in adversity. So number 1, be aware. Be aware. Be aware that adversity comes, that difficult times come. It's just part of the human experience. No one can live without adversity this side of the fall. When Adam and Eve decided to rebel against God, they brought in brokenness. And brokenness lives in the heart of each and every one of us. We all have that brokenness. And so be aware of it. It's going to happen. There's nothing we can do to avoid it. Now, obviously, we will try to do our best to live life to its fullest all the time, but there's going to come those times when those challenges come. But to be aware of the days in which we live. And so we're not necessarily surprised when the difficulties happen. You know, it's part of it. Number 2, when it comes to adversity, we be aware and we accept. We accept the adversity. Not necessarily we accept all of it, but we accept that which we cannot change. Because at the end of the day, what control do you have? Really, all of us, none of us have very much control. There are things that are totally out of our control. We can't control the forces perhaps that are against us. We can't control the perceptions that other people have about us. All we can control is our own response to the adversity. You know, we can respond differently. That's what we can control. And so we accept what we can't control. And we recognize there's nothing we can do about it. Of course, that means we should pray, of course. You know, that's part of the whole construct of awareness and acceptance, is the ability to pray through these things. But, you know, we accept it. And then the third point is to remember the aspect of the situation. The aspect of the situation. One of my first classes in college years ago was an astronomy class. I thought for a bit I was going to be an astronomer and study the stars. And of course, I was led a different way, and that's fine. But nonetheless, I learned the concept of aspect. And aspect is the ability to measure the distance of two celestial bodies using degrees. And the thing is, when you consider the distance between you and the problem, when we're in the middle of the problem, when we're close to it, we have a relatively low aspect. And we feel the weight, we feel the tension, we have the sadness. But when we get away, turning around, I'm at the end of the road, I go that way now. When we get farther and farther away from the problem seems to become smaller and smaller and smaller. It's not that the problem is necessarily small when we're there, but as we get farther away, we can see that we will make it through. How do we do that? We look at the aspect of other problems that we've been through. Anybody who's been alive on this earth for very long has been through some challenges, some difficulties. And you know that as you look back in your life, you can say, yeah, that was a problem. That was consuming me. It seemed to eat up all my time and all my mental space. But guess what? Get beyond it. 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year or more, and suddenly that problem's not so big anymore. That obstacle that seemed to be there is gone. Maybe relationships have changed, maybe circumstances have changed, but you know, the pressure of that moment, the anxiety of that moment has left you, and you find yourself still striving, still victorious, still moving forward. You know, that's how, when we look back at that, that's what Romans 8:28 is all about. All things work together for good. All things work together for good for those who love the Lord and those who are called according to his purpose. We're living in God's purposes. And so my encouragement for you today, if you're right now enjoying a beautiful day like I am, is to recognize, number one, colder days are going to come. That's awareness. Acceptance. I won't be able to change those cold days. But aspect. I know that in the past, the cold days have then turned into warm days again. There have been new seasons that have come as I have walked my life before the Lord. You know, as I've said in the past, this is indeed the day the Lord has made. Why don't you go out and rejoice and be glad in it? And I'm going to do that too as I continue my walk. Talk to you later. Bye.